Listen, if your hair still feels dry no matter how much you moisturize, then you might be misunderstanding your hair's porosity as well as your hair's texture, because there is a high chance that your hair strand thickness could be the real reason as to why your hair is drying out so fast. So it's not just about having type 4 hair as to why our hair is always dry. What's good, guys? It's your girl Keisha Ariel, the founder of Hair We Grow, and in today's video I am going to be breaking down how your hair strand thickness reveals your true porosity level. So let's get into it. Okay, so in our ongoing journey to understand our hair and how to care for our kinky, coily, curly, afro textured natural hair, we've covered various aspects of the hair structure, its characteristics, and most importantly, understanding where our hair type actually falls on the porosity spectrum. So if you haven't seen those videos, definitely check the cards right here. Now, with that said, in order for us to truly know where our hair falls on the porosity spectrum, as afro hair ranges between medium to high porosity as discussed before, we have to take a closer look at our individual hair strands to determine its texture. Now, when talking about the texture of your hair, this is referring to the diameter of an individual hair strand, which is pretty much identifying whether you have thick or fine hair strands, as this is what truly allows you to have a general idea of the amount of cuticle layers your hair strand may have, and it also gives you an idea of where you could potentially fall on the porosity spectrum. So considering that we all have different textures across the surface area of our scalp, in order to have a general understanding of where you may fall on the porosity spectrum, it's best to just focus on the texture that's the most dominant. So that's where the most of your hair strands are thicker or more coarser versus finer and a softer texture. Okay, so let's talk about how you can actually identify your hair strand thickness and also the relationship between strand thickness and your cuticle layers. So as mentioned in previous videos about your hair structure, the texture of your hair, i.e. whether it's thick or coarse or thin or fine, this will help you determine whether you are more on the high end of the porosity spectrum or whether you fall in the medium range of the spectrum. Now, as mentioned, we are on the scale of medium to high. Again, check the cards above for more information. Okay, so here are a couple tests you can do to identify whether you have thick or finer hair strands, which I have touched on in a previous video, which I will go ahead and link in the cards above as well as in the description bar below. But in this video, I will be focusing on the one that I haven't mentioned in that previous video. Okay, so to identify whether you have thick or fine hair strands, you can actually do this test. Now, first you want to take a clean, dry, one single hair strand from the top of your head, or even if you've taken it from one of your brushes or combs, just get a clean piece of hair strand, right? Then you want to put it between your index finger and your thumb and you want to rub it together. Now, if you can barely feel the hair strands, this will indicate that you have finer hair strands, which would mean that you have a cuticle layer about 3 to 4, maybe 5 cuticle layers, right? So this would mean that your hair would tend to dry out much faster, as I've explained in my previous videos, because you know, if you don't have a lot of cuticle layers, it's easier for moisture to escape from your hair strands as opposed to someone who's got medium porosity or low porosity hair. They have a lot more cuticle layers, so their hair would be feeling much more coarser and they won't lose they won't lose moisture fast, should I say. Now, if you can distinctly feel the hair strand between your fingers, then you are more likely to have medium porosity hair strands, right? Sorry, not medium porosity hair strands, sorry, thick hair strands, which would mean that you have medium porosity hair. And the reason why you'd be able to feel it is because there is a more coarseness to it, because there is more cuticle layers on the hair. So that now you're going anywhere from 5 to 7 cuticle layers, because remember, once again, afro texture hair tends to fall between 3 cuticles up to 7 cuticle max. So if your hair is finer, clearly it would not have a lot of cuticle, because there will be that fine hair strand strand, that thin hair strand, will be weighed down by maximum 7 cuticle. So that wouldn't work. So if you think about it, the smaller it is, the less cuticle layers it will have. However, the thicker it is, the more distinct it is between your fingers, it's a higher chance that you are on the medium, so anywhere from 5 to maximum 7. Again, we are specifically speaking about Afro textured hair because that's the hair type we have. I'm not necessarily talking about Caucasian hair types or Asian hair types who have more cuticle than Afro textured hair. So once again, if you can feel the hair strand distinctly between your fingers, then it's a higher chance that you have medium porosity hair and you have more cuticles, which is why your hair won't dry out as fast as someone who have finer hair strands, because they do not have a lot of cuticle to keep the moisture content in the hair. So it's more likely that fine hair strands will have fewer cuticles as opposed to coarser hair strands, which will have more cuticle layers. What are your thoughts? Do you think I'm reaching, or are you understanding what I'm saying? Let me know in the comments below. Let's talk about it. Am I making sense, or I'm not making too much sense? Or do you have a completely different view on this? Let me know. Now, understanding your hair's texture, so that's whether you have coarse or fine hair, is essential for several reasons, as it helps with product selection, because depending on your hair's texture, this will influence the types of products that will work best for your hair. So for example, if you have coarser or thicker hair strands, you can use heavier products without your hair feeling weighed down, while finer hair strands require lighter products to avoid being weighed down. Also, your hair texture determines which styling methods or techniques will be most effective for your hair and be the least damaging, as coarse or thick hair is more resilient to manipulation and styling, while finer hair is more vulnerable to damage from styling, heat, chemicals, and environmental factors like the weather. So if you have finer texture hair, you have to be extra dedicated to your hair care routine, as your hair is much softer and much more vulnerable. Alright, so now that you have an idea of your hair's texture, here are some general hair care guidelines you can take into consideration if you have fine or thin hair strands. Now, if you have fine or thin hair strands, you're gonna want to use lightweight products. So that's lightweight creams and leave-in conditioners, as this won't weigh down the hair too much. And also, considering that your hair has less cuticles, it's more prone to dryness, so you want to keep the hair hydrated and moisturized. Also, if you're using heavier products, you want to opt for whipped butters like the Here We Grow Hair and Body butters, as whipped butters, or whipped hair butter should I say, introduces air into the butter, making it lighter and fluffier, which helps to reduce the heaviness that raw butters and thick oils can sometimes have on fine hair strands. But you only want to apply a small amount and distribute it evenly throughout the hair, and as you know, these butters will seal the moisture, keeping your hair hydrated for a much longer time. Also, if you have fine hair strands, you want to ensure that you're focused on doing protein treatments regularly to help strengthen your hair, to protect the integrity of your hair strands. Now, I do have a video coming on how often you should actually be doing protein treatments based on your hair's porosity, so you definitely want to keep an eye out for that, because you will find that very helpful. Now, in addition to using lighter products and doing protein treatments, you want to be gentle when styling your hair to prevent breakage, like I just mentioned, because once again, finer hair tends to be softer and are more vulnerable to becoming dry and brittle. So being aware of styling techniques are also very important when it comes to caring for finer hair strands. And lastly, if you're going to use heat styling tools, you want to do that sparingly and at lower temperatures, because once again, your hair is more vulnerable with fewer cuticle layers, and using heat regularly or at high temperatures can cause heat damage and increase porosity, which weakens your hair further, leading to breakage. Now, I shared how I had to do a big chop. So check it out if you want to learn more why you should not be using heat on your fine, vulnerable hair strands. Now, if you have thick hair strands, some hair care guidelines to consider would be to use more emollient-rich products like the Hair We Grow butters, which includes a blend of rich butters and nourishing oils to soften and smooth and seal moisture into your hair strands, providing long-lasting moisture retention. Because once again, I am planning on doing a dedicated video on our hair butters explaining how it benefits both coarse and fine hair strands, so stay tuned for that. Also, deep conditioning your hair regularly is important to maintain moisture balance, because once again, with more cuticle layers, it means your hair strands are stronger because it has more protein structure. So ensuring proper moisture balance is important to prevent breakage, because anything too strong, easy to snap, right? Now, I don't usually advocate for the regular use of holding products like gels, especially if you have fine hair strands. But for those with coarser texture hair, if you like to use holding products in your hair care routine, you may want to use stronger hold styling products if you're looking for a definition when it comes to wearing certain hairstyles. Also, implementing protective styling can help with managing the volume of your hair, especially if you have high hair density as well. Now, if you're not sure if you have high density, then check out this video right here where I detail how you can identify your hair's porosity. Your density. It will also be linked in the description bar below as well. And lastly, when it comes to heat styling, due to the higher count of cuticle layers protecting the hair, your hair may tolerate higher heat settings than those with finer hair texture, but still be mindful of the amount of heat you're using on your hair, because you can still experience heat damage if the heat is too high. But also make sure that you are using proper heat protectant as well, because trust me, not because your hair is strong, that doesn't mean it can't be damaged by the heat. So as we can see, understanding your hair's thickness not only tells us where you fall on the porosity spectrum, but it also determines how you care for your hair, and it allows you to choose products that will work best for your particular hair needs. And honestly, I think these are the two main things you need to know about your hair in order to tailor your hair care routine to optimize your hair's health and your hair journey. Again, the diameter of your hair strands directly correlates with your hair's overall strength and resilience. So coarser textured hair would typically have more cuticle layers, which fortifies the hair strands and protect the inner layers of the hair, while finer textured hair is considered more vulnerable, requiring more care because of course it has fewer cuticle layers. And ultimately, the correlation between your hair's texture, which determines your porosity, emphasizes the need for tailored hair care routines based on your specific hair characteristic. Now, if you're ready to give your hair the specialized care it deserves, then go ahead and visit our website HairWeGrow.store and explore our product range, which was carefully designed with your hair's texture and your hair's porosity in mind. And remember, understanding your hair's unique characteristics is the first step towards achieving your healthiest, most beautiful hair yet, because 2025 is all about hair health, hair growth, and just fabulousness.